Broken but unbeaten, the agonizing truth behind Eala's 3-hour war against the Chinese Sharapova. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to hear isn't just another tennis match recap. This is the story of sacrifice, of secrets hidden behind smiles, and of a confession that has sent shockwaves rippling through the entire tennis world from the streets of Manila all the way to Melbourne Park. If you thought you knew what happened in Auckland, New Zealand, at the ASB Classic semifinals, think again. Because the real story wasn't written in the scoreline. It was written in blood, sweat, and tears that nobody saw coming. Welcome back to Court Vision Plus, and if you're new here, do yourself a favor right now and smash that subscribe button because we bring you the stories that matter, the moments that break your heart, and the truths that change everything. And hey, while you're at it, head over and subscribe to our brand new sister channel too because we're building a family here, and we want you to be part of it from day one. Now, let me paint you a picture. It's a beautiful summer day in Auckland. The ASB Classic is in full swing, and the atmosphere inside the stadium is absolutely electric. Hundreds of Filipino fans have packed the stands, waving flags, chanting names, turning what should have been just another tennis venue into a sea of national pride. The ground passes were selling like hotcakes because everyone wanted to witness history. Everyone wanted to see Alexandra Eala, the golden girl of Philippine tennis, punch her ticket to her very first WTA final. This wasn't just a match. This was a moment. This was supposed to be the breakthrough we'd all been waiting for. Standing across the net was Wang Xingyu, and if you don't know that name yet, you will soon because this 24-year-old Chinese powerhouse is being called the next Maria Sharapova. They don't just throw that comparison around lightly. Wang idolizes Sharapova. She models her game after the Russian legend. She hits the ball with the same bone-crushing power, the same suffocating aggression, the same killer instinct that made Sharapova a 5-time Grand Slam champion. When Wang steps on court, she doesn't come to play points. She comes to end them. Her serve clocks in at over 180 kilometers per hour. Her ground strokes paint lines like an artist wielding a sledgehammer instead of a brush. The narrative was set beautifully. The hungry rising star from the Philippines against the established Chinese destroyer. Youth versus power. Heart versus might. And for the first hour of this match, it looked like a fairy tale was being written in real time. Eala came out swinging, and I mean that literally. Her lefty forehand was firing on all cylinders. She wasn't intimidated by Wang's reputation or her power. In fact, she seemed to feed off it. Every bomb that Wang launched, Alex redirected with interest. She was moving the taller player side to side, exposing every weakness in Wang's movement, making the Chinese Sharapova look almost ordinary. The first set was an absolute thriller. Both women held serve with authority until suddenly, at 5 games all, with the tension so thick you could cut it with a racket, Alex found her opening. Wang was serving massive first serves, trying to blast Eala off the court, but our girl stood her ground. She absorbed the power, redirected it, and when the opportunity came, she ripped a passing shot down the line that had the Filipino section of the crowd absolutely losing their minds. The umpire actually had to ask for quiet multiple times because the roar was so deafening. Eala broke serve and then served out the set 7-5. Was already taking notice. Social media was exploding. The live rankings were updating in real time, showing Alex climbing higher and higher. Sports journalists were already drafting their headlines about the next big thing in women's tennis. Everything was going according to script. Everything was perfect. But here's the thing about tennis, and here's the thing about life. Sometimes the universe gives you hope just so it can teach you about heartbreak. Sometimes you get so close to your dreams that you can taste them, only to have them snatched away in the cruelest possible way. And what happened next in Auckland wasn't just cruel. It was devastating in ways that nobody watching could have possibly understood at the time. The second set began, and something shifted. Wang Xingyu didn't just adjust her tactics. She transformed completely. The Chinese star stopped making the unforced errors that had plagued her in the first set. Suddenly, her heavy hitting found its range. Those ground strokes that had been sailing long or wide were now catching lines, clipping corners, pushing Alex further and further behind the baseline. But here's what made Eala: she fought back like a warrior. Wang broke Alex's serve early in the second set and looked to be running away with it, but Eala clawed her way back immediately. She broke back. The crowd was back on their feet. The momentum swung back and forth like a pendulum. At 5 games all in the second set, we were right back where we started. 1 point away from Alex potentially serving for the match. 1 break away from glory. The Filipino fans were hoarse from screaming. The atmosphere was absolutely incredible. But Wang Xinyu, showing exactly why she's ranked where she is, showing exactly why people are comparing her to Sharapova, elevated her game at the crucial moment. She unleashed a barrage of returns that were simply unplayable. Massive forehand after massive forehand, each one heavier than the last, each one pushing Alex further into defense until finally, inevitably, the break came. Wang held serve and took the second set 7-5. 1 set all. 2 hours of absolutely grueling tennis already played. Everything to play for in the third and deciding set. And this is where the story takes its darkest turn, though none of us watching at home knew it yet. This is where the horrifying truth that Alex would reveal later started to manifest itself physically on court. If you were watching the broadcast carefully, if you were really paying attention, you might have noticed something. Between points, Alex was grabbing her side. After long rallies, she was grimacing, her face contorting in what looked like pain. The bounce in her step, that youthful energy that had carried her through the first 2 sets, was visibly fading. The commentators mentioned it briefly. They said things like she looks tired, or it's been a long week for Eala, or the physical demands are showing. We all nodded along. We thought it was just fatigue. We thought it was just the natural tiredness that comes from playing 3-hour marathons at the highest level of professional tennis. We had no idea that Alex Eala was fighting a battle that had nothing to do with Wang Xinyu. We had no idea she was competing against her own body, against an injury that should have kept her off the court entirely, against pain that would have hospitalized a normal person. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about what happened in that brutal third set first. Wang Xinyu smelled blood in the water, and she attacked like a shark. She raced out to a 4-love lead in the deciding set. It looked over. It felt over. The Chinese star was teeing off on every single ball, putting away volleys, crushing serves, making Alex run baseline to baseline while barely having to move herself. The power differential was becoming impossible to overcome. Alex's serves, which had been so effective in the first set, had lost their pop. Her movement, once so fluid and cat-like, had slowed to a painful shuffle. Wang was destroying her. Down 1-5. Serving to stay in the match. Seemingly dead and buried. Any normal player would have gone through the motions and accepted defeat. But Alexandra Eala is not any normal player. What happened next was either the bravest or most foolish thing I've ever seen on a tennis court, depending on your perspective, and trust me, we're going to get into that debate. Alex broke serve. 5 was suddenly 4-5. The impossible comeback was happening. The Filipino fans were crying, screaming, praying, believing. Wang Xinyu, who had looked so dominant just minutes earlier, was suddenly tight, nervous, making errors. The momentum had swung completely. Alex served to stay in the match at 4-5. Every point was a war. Every rally seemed to last forever. The game went to deuce. Then advantage Wang, match point for the Chinese star. 1 point away from the final. 1 point away from ending this incredible run. The rally that followed was long, grinding, brutal. Wang hit a heavy forehand deep into the corner. Alex stretched, lunged with everything she had left, and her shot sailed just wide of the line. Who had left everything on that court. The handshake at the net was respectful, even warm. Wang Xinyu had earned her spot in the final. But if you looked closely at Alex Eala's face, if you really studied her expression, you saw something beyond disappointment. You saw pain. Deep, physical, frightening pain. The cameras followed Wang for her victory lap. The commentators praised her resilience and power. The crowd gave both players a standing ovation. And then the broadcast moved on to other stories, other matches, other news. But the real story, the shocking story, the horrifying truth was just about to explode. Minutes after the match, a visibly shaken Eala sat down for her post-match press conference. Everyone expected the standard answers that athletes give after tough losses. "I gave it my all. She played better today. I'll learn from this and come back stronger." The usual stuff. What we got instead was a confession that has changed everything about how we understand what we just witnessed. Fighting back tears, her voice trembling with emotion and exhaustion, Alex dropped an absolute bombshell. She revealed that she almost didn't play the match at all. She revealed that her medical team had advised her not to take the court. She revealed that she had been hiding an injury, playing through pain that would have sidelined almost any other professional athlete. The horrifying truth wasn't just a cramp or a minor strain. According to multiple reports that have emerged since the press conference, Alex has been managing a severe abdominal tear, an injury that is absolutely devastating for a tennis player. Think about what a tennis serve requires. Your entire core, your entire midsection, has to coil and explode with maximum force dozens of times per match. Every serve, every overhead, every powerful groundstroke engages those abdominal muscles. Now imagine doing that with torn muscle fibers. Every time Alex reached up to serve, she was essentially tearing her body apart from the inside. Every powerful forehand was an act of self-destruction. In her own words, voice cracking, Alex told the assembled media, "I wasn't going to play today. The doctors told me the risk was too high. I'd been hiding it for weeks." She paused, wiping away tears, before continuing. "The pain in the third set was blinding. I couldn't breathe properly during the changeovers. I didn't want to retire. I didn't want to quit in front of all those fans who came to support me. But I think I might have made it worse." Let that sink in for a moment. Eala knowingly risked her entire Australian Open campaign, possibly the next several months of her career, just to try and win one match. She played through pain that she describes as blinding. She competed knowing that every point could cause more damage. And she did it because she didn't want to let down the fans who had traveled to support her, who had believed in her, who had made that Auckland stadium feel like home. The confession continued, and it got even more harrowing. Alex revealed that by the time she was down love 4 in the third set, her coaching team was literally signaling for her to stop, to walk away, to save her body for the bigger tournaments ahead. They were begging her to retire from the match. But she refused. She kept fighting. She kept competing. She mounted that incredible comeback from 1-5 down while playing on what she described as adrenaline and painkillers. Then came the most chilling part of the entire press conference. Alex's voice dropped to almost a whisper as she said, "I felt something pop during the last few games. I don't know exactly what happened, but I felt it. I just kept telling myself 5 more points, 3 more points, 1 more point. I had to finish. I had to try." The room went silent. You could hear a pin drop. Sports journalists who had covered tennis for decades sat there stunned. This wasn't just a tough loss anymore. This was a young athlete potentially sacrificing her career for one match. This was bravery that bordered on recklessness. This was the kind of warrior mentality that we celebrate in sports movies but that terrifies us when we see it in real life because we know the consequences. Since that press conference, the tennis world has been in absolute turmoil. Social media has exploded with reactions ranging from calling Alex the bravest player on tour to questioning whether her team should have physically prevented her from taking the court. Medical experts have weighed in, explaining that abdominal tears are notoriously tricky injuries. They don't heal quickly. They linger. They haunt athletes for months or even years if not properly managed. The Australian Open, the first Grand Slam of the year, is just days away. This was supposed to be Alex's moment to shine on the biggest stage. She had been playing the best tennis of her life leading up to Auckland. She had beaten higher-ranked opponents. She had shown that she belonged in the conversation with the elite players. And now all of that is in jeopardy because she refused to quit, because she played with the heart of a champion even when her body was begging her to stop. Wang Xinyu, to her credit, has handled her victory with grace and class. She moved on to the ASB Classic final where she faced another tough opponent, and while she ultimately fell short of winning the title, losing to Naomi Osaka in a thrilling final that went 3 sets, Wang's performance throughout the tournament proved that the Chinese Sharapova nickname isn't just hype. She's the real deal. Her power game is terrifying. Her mental strength is formidable. And her victory over Alex, while tainted by the revelation of the injury, was still earned through high-quality, aggressive tennis. But Wang has also shown empathy and sportsmanship in the aftermath. She posted on social media expressing her respect for Alex and wishing her a speedy recovery. She acknowledged that facing an injured opponent takes nothing away from her win, but she also made it clear that she has tremendous admiration for Alex's fighting spirit. It's exactly the kind of classy response you hope for in these situations. Meanwhile, back in the Philippines, the reaction has been overwhelmingly supportive of Alex. Filipino fans have rallied around their tennis star with hashtags like Queen of Hearts and Eala Warrior trending nationwide. There's tremendous pride in how she represented the country, but there's also genuine concern and even anger at the circumstances that led to this situation. Questions are being asked about the pressure young athletes face, about the structures in place to protect their health, about whether the desire to please fans and fulfill expectations pushes competitors to make dangerous decisions. The broader tennis community has also weighed in. Current and former players have shared their own stories of playing through it. Others have used her story as a cautionary tale about the importance of listening to your body and your medical team. There's no consensus, which makes sense because these are deeply personal decisions that every athlete has to make for themselves. As I'm recording this, we still don't have complete clarity on Alex's medical status. The official word from her team is that she's undergoing further tests and evaluations to determine the full extent of the injury and to create a recovery plan. The Australian Open is scheduled to begin in just a few days, and the question everyone is asking is whether Alex will be able to compete. Some reports suggest she's already withdrawn from her Australian Open qualifying matches to give herself more time to heal. Other sources say she's still holding out hope that with treatment and rest she might be able to play. Young athletes around the world, especially young Filipinos who see themselves in Alex's journey, will remember this match not just for the loss but for the fight. They'll remember that their hero didn't quit. They'll remember that when things got hard, when the body was breaking down, when defeat seemed inevitable, she kept swinging. Is that a dangerous message if it encourages kids to play through injuries? Possibly. But it's also an incredibly powerful message about resilience, about refusing to give up on your dreams, about respecting the people who support you enough to give them everything you've got. As we wrap up this deep dive into one of the most emotionally complex sporting events in recent memory, I want to be clear about something. This story isn't over. Not by a long shot. We're going to continue following Alex Eala's journey every step of the way here on Court Vision Plus. When we get medical updates, you'll hear about them first from us. When she returns to competition, we'll be there to cover it. When she wins her first WTA title, and trust me she will, we're going to celebrate together as a community. Because that's what we do here. We don't just report scores and statistics. We tell the human stories behind the matches. We explore the emotions, the sacrifices, the triumphs and the heartbreaks that make sports so compelling. We bring you closer to the athletes you love, help you understand what they're going through, what they're feeling, what they're risking every time they step on court. So here's what I need from you right now. First, drop a comment below and tell me what you think. Was Alex brave or reckless? Should she have listened to her doctors or did she make the right call to keep fighting? Do you admire her warrior mentality or does this story worry you about the pressure on young athletes? I genuinely want to know your perspective because these are complicated questions without easy answers, and hearing different viewpoints helps all of us think more deeply about these issues. Second, if you support Alex Eala, if you're hoping for a speedy recovery, if you want to see her back on court soon fulfilling all that incredible potential, smash that like button right now. Show her that the tennis community has her back, that we appreciate everything she gave us in Auckland, that we'll be here supporting her through the recovery and beyond. Third, and this is crucial, if you're not already subscribed to Court Vision Plus, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update on Alex or any other tennis story that matters. We're building something special here, a community of passionate tennis fans who care about the sport and the athletes, and we want you to be part of it. And finally, here's something important. We've just launched a brand new sister channel, and we need your help to get it off the ground. Head over right now and subscribe to Champions Tennisistics. The link is right there in the description. We're going to be bringing you even more exclusive content, tactical breakdowns, player interviews, and behind-the-scenes stories that you won't find anywhere else. We're trying to create a whole network of tennis coverage that gives you different perspectives and deeper insights into the sport we all love. But we can't do it without you. So please, take 10 seconds right now, click that link, and subscribe to Champions Tennisistics. Eala showed us in Auckland what it means to be a fighter. She showed us that champions aren't defined by wins and losses, but by how they respond when everything is on the line, when their bodies are failing, when the easiest thing in the world would be to quit. She didn't quit. She fought until she literally couldn't fight anymore. And that's something worth celebrating, even as we worry about the cost, even as we hope she heals quickly, even as we question whether the sacrifice was worth it. To Alex, if somehow you're watching this or if this message finds its way to you, please know that millions of people around the world are thinking about you, praying for your recovery, and anxiously waiting to see you back on court. You've already accomplished so much at such a young age. You've inspired a generation of Filipino athletes. You've shown that with heart and determination, you can compete with anyone in the world. Now it's time to take care of yourself, to heal properly, to come back stronger than ever. The tennis court will be waiting for you. Your fans will be waiting for you. And when you do return, whether it's at the Australian Open or whether you need more time, we'll be right there cheering for every single point, just like those incredible Filipino fans did in Auckland. This has been Court Vision Plus, bringing you the stories that matter, the truth behind the headlines, and the human drama that makes tennis so much more than just a sport. Stay strong, stay passionate, and keep supporting the athletes who give us these incredible moments. Until next time, this is your home for everything tennis. Peace.
Hello, welcome to Brazil. I would like to ask, coming here, winning a title just a few days before, I would like to know what are your main goals here in Brazil?
You have just take it with a spoonful of gratitude. I think not a lot of people get to experience that I make a difference. You know, that's what the only thing I can do to give back to my country is to help inspire